Let me do some quick Windows stuff here. So you can see here I just have, this is just for file identification stuff. So I've got this XLS file. I'm going to download a copy of it. On this particular system that I'm using right now, this virtual machine, I don't have Microsoft Office installed, but I don't really need it. So if you look over here in my downloads directory, you see I have a bunch of folders and a bunch of files in here. You can see that book2.xlsx came in, and I can't open it. If I click it, Windows doesn't know what to do with it. But we know what it is. We know it's an Excel file. Now, this is a thing that works for all doc files, that when you're doing file forensics, I recommend you try it out at least once. If I change book2.xlsx to book2.zip, hit enter, it's going to nag me that I shouldn't change it, but I'm going to change the extension, and I hit yes. It becomes a zip file. If I click it now, it has content in it. It's a little known fact about Microsoft Word files or Microsoft Office files. They're all zip files. They're all easily handled, and so you can go in here and pull information out of them. Then we have Frhed here, which is a debugging tool. It's also known as a hex viewer. So you see in here, it has nothing in it. In this file, I'm going to get rid of what we don't need here. So example, password protected, we'll deal with that later. Book2.zip was book2.xlsx, we'll get rid of that. All right, so here I have in my downloads directory. So we just saw, like, we could take an Excel file, rename it from Excel to .zip, and kind of browse the file. That works if we know what it is, but if we don't know what it is, that doesn't help. And here at Wikipedia, there's a pretty decent magic number chart, I want to say. Yep, here we go. So things like this, JPEG images begin with FFD8 and end with FFD9. So if I was to take one of these files, which, spoiler, it's a JPEG, if I drag it over here and drop it in, you'll see it starts with FFD8, and it ends way down the bottom with FFD9. That's what a magic number is. That's how we know that it's a JPEG file. When a JPEG reading program opens it, that's how it determines it's a JPEG file. Now let's look at these other files. What do we got? We got OIP, we'll drop that one in. FFD8, we'll go down the end. FFD9 down here at the very bottom. There. And then we've got, let's go undo one again, and this time we'll drop in 3 here. And it's FFD8, and if you go to the end, it is FFD9, so it's another JPEG file. Now let's do one more. Let's open Frhed one more time, and we'll drop in this, which is not a JPEG file. It starts with 504B0304, and let's go see if that little Wikipedia article actually had anything on that. Okay, there you go. So 504B is a zip file. So we know that that's a zip file, right? So in any of these, if I rename them now, so I know that this is a JPEG. So if I go here and do .jpg and open it up, and it should open very slowly as a JPEG. Go away. So that is a JPEG. This one we identify as a zip file. So if I open it as a zip file, it'll work. It was Frhed, by the way. So Frhed is this tool for viewing files in hexadecimal. It's an easier way to read them. I talked about opening files in Notepad. And Notepad in Windows is a remarkably durable tool, so it'll let you open things up even if you shouldn't be able to. So when I drop that in there, you can see right away it's not something a human would want to read, but you can see also it says JFIF at the beginning. That tells you it's a JPEG as well. So if you open this in Notepad, that'd be one way to tell as well. Finally, if you were noticing while I was doing that, I installed something called Veracrypt. So right now, if I wanted to hide these files or encrypt these files, there's a couple different ways to do it. I can go here, go to Properties, and go to Advanced, and there is an Encrypt Contents to Secure Data. If I click OK and OK again, encrypt this file only is what I'm going to do right now. You would only encrypt, you would want to encrypt everything, but this file is now encrypted. But if I rename it to .jpeg, because we know it's a JPEG, and open it, it will work just fine for me. But if somebody else logged into this, they wouldn't be able to see it. But this encryption only works as long as I'm logged into the system. Somebody can steal my keys. They can log in as me. There's a lot of ways to get around this encryption. So if we want to encrypt something in a way that people can identify what it was, we could use a tool like Veracrypt. Veracrypt is probably the best at this kind of thing. Veracrypt creates file containers rather than encrypted files. So what you do is you basically create a file or create a container, mount it on one of these drives, and you can put data into it. So let's create a file. We're going to create an encrypted container. So create an encrypted file container. Next, standard Veracrypt volume. You do hidden volumes, but I recommend you read the tutorials about that. There's a way to basically make it so that you have to put in one password to give a fake encrypted thing, and then another password will get you to the real encrypted thing. So I'm going to just put this file anywhere it'll fit. Let's go to downloads again. We'll just call it container and save. And then next, and then we're going to use standard settings, and I'm going to make it very small. Let's call it 25 megs. And next, and a password. I'm going to do password. Don't do weak passwords. In fact, I think this will yell at me for it. Let me see if I display password. It's password. If I can type password. Next, it's going to nag at me because it's a bad password. I'm going to say yes. Don't use bad passwords. It wants you here to generate a random key, so you just scrub your mouse around inside of the window. The more you do it, the more random the key will be. I'm going to say that's good enough for now. I'm going to hit format. Okay, and then I'm going to exit. So now if you look at my directory, I have this file called container. It is 25 megs in size, and which would be 25 kilobytes if you're paying attention earlier in the lecture. I'm sorry, 25 megabytes. I'm going to select that file, which is in my downloads directory, called container, and then I'm going to mount it, and the password is password. And now I have a drive E. If you look at my PC over here, there's this new local disk E. And in that file, I can move these 3 JPEGs. Let's do that. We're going to put them over here. Move them to there. And then I'm going to dismount this folder. And now there's no way to get to those files. If you look inside this container, if I was to put it into Frhed here, you'll notice that there's no anything. Like, it's hard to tell, obviously, as you'll know, the magic numbers should be, but the magic numbers for this are nothing. It just is random junk data. Veracrypt doesn't even know what a Veracrypt file looks like. You have to tell it it's a Veracrypt file, then it tries to open it. Veracrypt is really solid encryption. This file now, this container file, everything that's contained within it, nobody's going to be able to get it out without knowing my password and knowing it's a Veracrypt file. If you just hand this file, you can tell them what it was, they wouldn't know what it was. Finally, there's just one other thing inside of Windows that I always think is neat, but isn't necessarily super useful. If I go to downloads again, and in here I have these files that we've seen. If I create a file, let's do a file called nosecrets.txt. Inside of here, it's asked me if I want to create the file. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say there are no secrets in this file. And then I'm going to close it and save it. If you look in here, I'll have nosecrets.txt. It's 34 bytes in size right there. And if I was to do this, Notepad, nosecrets.txt, and then a colon, these are secrets.txt. And I open that, it'll say this file doesn't exist, you want to create it? I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to say these are the secrets here. And then I'm going to close it and save. Now if I list dir again, you'll notice that before, nosecrets.txt was 34 bytes in size, the last edited at 1:56 p.m. If I run it again, you notice it's 34 bytes in size, last edited at 1:57 p.m., which is a minute later. But other than that, nothing changed. Now if I say dir/r, which people don't normally do, you'll see that I have a recursive listing, meaning it's showing data contained inside the data. Like my zip file actually contains data inside of it. And this no secrets.txt contains extra data behind it. If I want to open it, I could say Notepad. Well, I'm just going to go back to it. Notepad, no secrets.txt, these are secrets.txt, open it, and there's the file. If I open the original, no secrets.txt, and open it, you'll see that there are no secrets in this file. And again, when I do dir, you can't see the hidden file that I have in there. That's called an alternate data stream. If you want to learn more about them, I recommend you Google them. But it's an interesting way to hide files, and it is used sometimes by malware to hide files. So this has been the Windows-ish stuff. I'm probably going to do a separate one with a little bit of Linux and a couple more to do with how to pull information out of files using Linux, but also a couple web-based systems. So I hope this helps a little bit, just a quick demo, and I'll include some links in this description for some of the tools I showed. Everybody have a good day.